Hi everyone, my name is Mridul, and I was actually a student of Mr. Hassan Raza just a few months ago, where I prepared for GMAT. It was a one-on-one coaching rather than a group coaching. So, just to start off with my journey, I have a total of 7 years of work experience, mostly across startups, and also across multiple geographies in India and abroad. And just in August 2022, I decided to go for MBA because I was looking for more international exposure. Uh, so I gave my first GMAT attempt in the start of October by just preparing on my own. So started in September preparing on my own. I had no idea about GMAT, about its format, about the college application, no clarity at all. And I gave my first attempt in October first week, and I got a score of 610. And I frankly did not know what is the significance of 610, whether it's a good score, bad score, what colleges I can target using this score. Uh, but then I started searching and looking into the colleges, and I realized that some of the good colleges I wanted to target, 610 is a no-go for almost all of the good colleges. So I started exploring coachings for GMAT. I thought rather than doing it myself, I should start working with someone else. And I actually got a reference of VerbalHub by just aggressively searching on internet. It was by far the highest rated GMAT, one of the highest rated GMAT coaching centers. So I did not think much. I reached out. One of the administrator connected me with Mr. Hassan Raza. I had a mock session and I decided to move ahead. And even for sir, it was a bit of aggressive target because I wanted to give my second attempt within a month. So I think we started somewhere in the end of October, and I wanted to give my exam in end of November. So for even for sir, it was tough because I had no idea about GMAT, and I asked him that I want a score of 730, and you need to prepare me in a month. So we started off very aggressively. We used to have one class every day, morning 8 to 9 a.m. And I was also very stiff on that schedule because I had office from 9:30. My job is very hectic. Even today, I'm working in the same company. It is a bit hectic, and I cannot skip a day. I work for 6 days a week, almost 6.5 days a week. I work till late night. So it was a little tough to find that slot. So there was a flexibility from Sir's end also. So we started off. I would start at least half an hour before. I would practice then 8 to 9 a.m. Studying with Sir. Then after I come back from office, I would study again for 2 to 3 hours in the night. This went on for a month, and I gave my second exam around second or third of December, I think, and I got a 620, and I was completely shattered because 1.5 months of preparation it gave me just a 10-point advantage. But then I realized that this was mainly because uh, I realized that I did not go prepared. I mean, I did not go mentally prepared to the exam. I went to the exam center by driving myself. It was a hot day. My center was in CP in Delhi, Connaught Place. I found very hard to find a parking spot. I found the parking spot, then 20 minutes walk to the center. I was already sweating. I was not feeling very confident and very energetic, and gave my exam in that condition. So I realized this within a day that I did not go mentally prepared, or I was mentally prepared there, but I exhausted myself as I started the exam, and that's why my performance was below my expectation. So both of these exams, the first and the second attempt, were offline pattern. So I realized that I can give online pattern as well. So I thought maybe let's try an online pattern, and all these problems of driving, parking, going to the center, all these problems will be solved. So I immediately booked an online session just 2 days after this exam, and I got a 730. So that was a big achievement because I got my desired score, and it was a big jump from 620 to 730 within like 2 days. Unfortunately, GMAT cancelled my score on the next day. And again, I read a lot. I had no clue what happened, but I realized that if there is a sudden jump in your score within in a very short span, you are essentially your exam score is essentially flagged as you committed cheating, and they just cancel your score and then they don't listen. My case went on for a month with them. They asked me to prove that I have not cheated essentially. So there's no way for me to prove that I did not cheat because the session is recorded. They had all the proof. It's just that there were some incidences in Hyderabad where some coaching was supporting students into cheating through some means. So they generally are very cautious about these cases. So by that time, I already started my application for my colleges because it was already too late, and I was prepared that if I do not get another good score in GMAT, I'll just go ahead with the 620 score because that was the only score left with me, and apply wherever best I can go in. But not a very ideal situation, not what I wanted to do. But I kept on preparing for GMAT and preparing for my application, and I gave my fourth attempt in January first week, and I got 710, um, almost as good as 730, but good enough to basically apply to some of the good colleges, and I basically moved ahead with that score. Unfortunately, I lost a lot of time. I lost a lot of deadlines of some good colleges, and had a very severe mental stress and a troubled period for 3 or 4 months. But my application to Cambridge went off. Then I applied to 4 more colleges, and thankfully the overall journey went well. So just to give you a summary, I applied to Cambridge first. Then I applied to ISSE Spain, which is IESE Spain, which is again a good college. Then I applied to Mannheim Business School in Germany. Then HEC and INSEAD, I applied to 5 colleges, and I got interview call from Cambridge, Mannheim, and INSEAD, and I converted all the 3 interviews. So finally, I decided to move ahead with INSEAD. Reason why this college, why not that college, we can go into the reasons later. But ultimately speaking, once I crossed that big bottleneck of getting a good GMAT score, I knew that these are the colleges I can apply to. Without that GMAT score, I had no clue. I was just simply firing shots in the air. All these colleges which I'm saying were not at all worth a shot if I had not got that 710 score. So again, one more thing, 710 is not a very ideal score for some of these colleges. I said, like INSEAD, 710 is not a good score. So we generally have to divide our college selection into 3 or 4 categories. One category is which are like very safe colleges. So someone has mentioned why Germany, Minu. Germany's best college is actually Mannheim Business School, and it is like 56th or 60th rank school in Germany, in the world, and Germany it's the best. So I had divided my colleges into 3 or 4 categories. One is a safe college where you know for sure you will get admit. Then one is a good college where you are a competitive candidate. Then one is an aggressive college where you are an extremely you are tough to go in, but you want to give it a try. You may or you may not get. And then one is an like out of bounds college where you definitely cannot get, but still you want to give it a try. So Mannheim was my safe college. The Mannheim Business School in Germany was my safe college. Cambridge was my good to place. I would easily go in there. And HEC was an aggressive target for me. And INSEAD was like out of bounds for me. at that time, but then I had to work hard on my application to get in there. So you all will basically come to a point in your application journey where you will have to decide that some of these colleges are such which I need to keep as a safe buffer. It's things can go wrong and you may not get into a good college. So you need to have a couple of colleges which may not sound very good to you, but you need to keep as an option, because else you need to go and apply next year. So if you do not want to apply next year, you need to choose a couple of not so good colleges or maybe average colleges. And you should definitely try one or two super aggressive colleges where you definitely know that you have very little chances, but preparing for those mentally prepares you for a lot of difficult things. That's why I chose INSEAD, but thankfully I got into INSEAD, which was also a little tough and a difficult journey for me. So, so you knew German. So I think Minu was against us. You knew German. So, knowing a language is not a very important thing during the application process. It is something which is important to get a job in a particular geography. So that whole placement thing is a very different scenario. If you graduate from a very good college, you may get a job in a lot of places and you don't need to know languages. But if you graduate from colleges which do not have a very good reputation, then knowing language becomes very important, right? So maybe if people want to ask anything on GMAT or anything else, you can maybe directly ask me rather than typing, so I can also hear your voice.
So can I ask the question?
Yeah, please.
So just wanted to know, like, as you were working, I am also working right now. So how did you manage that workload and studying? So what would be an ideal schedule to crack that 700 plus score while also having a job and having to work all day?
So uh, ideally, Sir Hassan sir will be able to answer this better, but I'll tell you my personal experience. My boss has a very high expectation or very high demand in terms of the workload. Uh, so I had to, in a rude sense of way, had to make him very clear that I am not gonna work after 8 p.m. I'm not gonna work on these couple of projects. I had to upfront tell him that. So at a point, I think you will have to become a bit focused on yourself. And if you feel that some of the projects are going to take a lot of time, you need to play around and not take those projects. So you need to make sure that you do not spend more than X number of hours in your office. Suppose, I do not know, if your work schedule is maybe 10 to 7, make sure that you do not spend a single minute out of those 10 to 7 for your office work. And if you are getting calls or mails or messages or anything, just tell upfront, बहाना बना दो कुछ, फैमिली रीजन, हेल्थ रीजन, कुछ भी बोल दो, बट थोड़ा सा मीन बनना पड़ेगा. एक बार जब फ्री हो जाते हैं, when you get those 5-6 hours for yourself, then sir can basically help you how to schedule. But first, give yourself those 6-7 hours. और जो पर्सनल एक्टिविटीज या हॉबीज में इन्वॉल्व हो, उनको थोड़ा सा पार्क कर दो. If you are still not getting a lot of time, maybe try to sleep 1 hour less. So what I'm trying to say is कि 4-5 घंटे अपने लिए कैसे भी निकाल लो. If you have those 4-5 hours, then second step is to basically customize them, which sir can help with. I hope I answered your query.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, Somnath, please.
Uh, Hello, sir. My question is more about getting into the B school.
Correct.
Since you were like you pass out on INSEAD, can you just tell me how difficult is it to get into top B school like INSEAD, HEC Paris, or LBS? With 2 years of work experience, is it? Have you seen 2 years of work people joining those B schools in MBA program, or it's very difficult to get into?
So, see, there are 3 kinds of business education. One is Masters in Management or MIM. Second is MBA, and third is Executive MBA. People with 1 to 3 years of work experience generally go for MIM, Masters in Management. People with 3 to 10 years of work ex go for MBA, and people with 10+ years of experience go for Executive MBA. Now, these are not very hard timelines. These are just broad timelines. But generally, top business schools would not take someone with 2 years of work experience for an MBA. They will simply recommend you to go for MIM, Masters in Management. So Masters in Management does not happen in India. It
Yeah.
it is a European concept. In India, you can maybe call it BBA or BCom, right? So if you have just 2 years of work experience, either go for MIM from a top business school or go for MBA from like business school with a ranking of 20 to 50 or maybe 20 to 100. But top 20 or top 30 business school may simply reject your profile because of less work experience.
Even with a good, decent GMAT score.
They won't look at your GMAT score. So GMAT score is only like 10% of the whole application package. So they need concrete, good international experience with a lot of leadership potential and a good reason why you want to do MBA. So those things are generally difficult to crack in a 2 year work experience. How will you show international work ex? How will you show leadership? How will you show some concrete exponential growth, 2, 3 appraisals, or some big projects you have cracked? Generally, it's tough. If you have done those things in 2 years, definitely you can do that. But generally, it's tough. Right? Wonders can be done, but again, practically they are difficult to crack, right? So and MIM is not bad. I mean, even people do, a lot of people do MIM as well.
So, like in terms of career prospects, is what would be the major difference between an MIM or an MBA? Because whatever I've seen, MIM की fees भी शायद थोड़ी कम होती है compared to an MBA.
Fees is very.
But ROI, what would be the return on investment if I do an MIM compared to an MBA? Because at the end of the day, everybody wants a good salary after MBA.
See, it's like this. For example, what is the difference between a doctor who is an MBBS or a doctor who is an MBBS and an MD? Or suppose someone who has done a BTech and who has done a BTech and an MTech. It's more like that. Generally, people with MIM are someone who have less work experience, so they generally get a lesser role in any company, and people with an MBA generally get a more senior role in any company. In either ways, it's you who has to raise a bar for himself, and you who has to basically find the right job. In Europe, no one is going to come and give you a job. You need to find the job yourself by connecting with people, by reaching out, by building your own profile. India में जैसे job fairs होते हैं वहाँ it's not like that. You ultimately need to find job for yourself. So if you have suppose done MIM from INSEAD and if you have done MBA from INSEAD, you both may get same kind of exposure and same kind of alumni network. And if you both are in the same playing field, you both can get the same job, but ultimately it will depend on how better you are able to project yourself. Someone who has worked for a longer period of time and someone who has MBA will definitely have more connects, better experience, and better speaking skills, problem solving skills, which the person can showcase through his resume and interview. And a person who has done MIM generally will have lesser experience. So I mean, lesser experience to crack those interviews. So that's the only difference. I mean, someone with an MIM will be able to get all those opportunities as someone with an MBA. It's just you are not experienced enough to showcase yourself, right? ये जो मैं बातें कह रहा हूँ, ये बातें शायद मैं 3 साल पहले कहता तो इतने अच्छे से नहीं कह पाता. क्या बदला तीन साल में? मेरा एक्सपीरियंस बदल गया, मैं और चीजें जानने लगा हूँ. या 2 महीने पहले भी मैं इतनी बातें नहीं कह पाता, 2 महीने मैंने MBA के बारे में काफी कुछ सीख लिया है, राइट? सो इट्स लाइक दिस. Now again, I have spoken a very general statement. Now what do you take out of this statement? You take this thing, you decide your college, and you search a lot on what kind of placements the people in MIM and MBA get. Like look for HEC, ISADE, INSEAD, मैनहाइम बिजनेस स्कूल, सी किस टाइप के प्लेसमेंट्स मिल रहे हैं MIM स्टूडेंट्स को एंड MBA स्टूडेंट्स को. तो you will get all the details about their average placement, companies, work ex, do they come back to India, do they get a job in Europe itself, and just decide for yourself, see what the average data tells you, and you can basically place yourself there, right? It will require a lot of research on your part itself to arrive at a college specific answer on MIM versus MBA.
Just wanted to ask another thing based on that. So while building your profile, does working in a startup compared to someone who has worked in an MNC, does those things also matter when you're applying for a college?
So there are few colleges which are very entrepreneurship first. ISE Spain is one, Cambridge is one, INSEAD is one, HEC is one, and all of these colleges are one where I applied because I knew that I have startup experience. So my work experience, I will be able to pitch better in these colleges. There are some colleges which are very consulting first or finance first, and my startup experience may be of no worth to them. For example, London Business School. It's a very finance first college. My experience would be of no value to them. So it depends on college. Now, which college has this and which college doesn't have that, again, will require you to research a bit, probably speak to the alums, read the blogs of colleges. So that way you can decide whether your experience will fit the experience of this college or not, right? Just to give you an example of US, Stanford is one of the best colleges for startups. Wharton is one of the best for consulting and investment banking, right? Columbia is good for the general jobs, the industry jobs and all, right? So if you are someone from startup and if you apply to Stanford, you will have a better chance compared to Harvard. Just saying that these are the cases. But generally, if you have a good profile, if you project yourself, you can go to any college, right? Sahana?
Hey, yes. So my question is around the time it took for you to prepare your SOPs and LORs, and how did you go about that? Did you do it by yourself, or did you hire anyone to help you out? What was that procedure like?
Right. So I onboarded a consultant for 2 colleges. Generally, one college application takes 1 full month. So 1 full month includes the SOP. Basically, there is no SOP. There is basically a list of questions, application essays. There are at least 10 to 15 essays for one college. It takes 1 month. Then your resume, your recommendation. You need to basically chase out your recommender to write good recommendation. Maybe help the recommender to suggest that you write this on my recommendation that will help me sync well with my application. Then you need to so one is application essays, one is resume, one is your recommendation letters. Those are the 3 main things, and generally 1 month for a college. You can squeeze it up to 20 days per college, but the first college generally takes the longest time. Second college will take a lesser time, and subsequently, because you start knowing yourself better, so you start taking lesser and lesser time for further colleges, right? Avdesh?
Yeah, hello Mridul. So my question is about getting a scholarship. What is the goodest course for getting a scholarship? First thing, and second thing is if somebody is having like 10 years of experience, somewhere around 70 LPA as a remuneration right now. So what is the ROI after doing an MBA? Is it like a good idea to basically go for an MBA, or how is it? How do you look?
Right. So regarding scholarship, first of all, for most of the good colleges, there is a separate application process for scholarships. Some of the colleges require you to submit separate essays for a scholarship, and those essays are also very lengthy. Like you may need to write 2 to 3 scholarship essays worth 500 to 600 words, and you take like a week or so to write those essays, and they evaluate you separately based on those essays. Now it completely it's completely different from your application, different from your profile, different from your resume, absolutely based on those essays, right? So some colleges automatically evaluate you based on your application, interviews, and the whole process, right? So there is no shortcut to getting a scholarship. Either either you have a financial need. For example, you come from not so good financial background, you have some financial needs, you have some dependents, and you are able to convince them that you need scholarship because you have some financial dependence. That's one way. Second way is through your merit, basically your essays and your application and your resume, right? But it comes at a much later stage. You do not need to prepare now and forget scholarship when you are preparing for your application. That should be a very secondary thing in your mind. It is part of application, you automatically do it, right? So that's first part of your question. Second part regarding the ROI, uh, depends on what you want. So you will have to make it clear what you want to do with your MBA, whether you want to do an Indian MBA or European MBA or a US MBA. You want to live outside India or you want to come back to India. What kind of financial liabilities do you have? Those are the things which come into play. There are some colleges which may offer a very good package, better than your current package. There are some colleges which may not offer you. So the answer to this question is a little complex depending on your uh, personal circumstances, which I may not I may not be able to answer with limited knowledge. Right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Shivanya.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask your take on deferred MBA. Like I am still pursuing my undergraduation, so I needed to ask, what's your take on that? Like how competitive it is actually.
It's a very specific question, and since I'm not from deferred MBA, I may not be able to give the right advice. For this, I think you should read more blogs or maybe reach out to colleges. I know one person who took deferred MBA for Cambridge. Cambridge is very accommodating and very supportive in all terms, but not all colleges. INSEAD is not very pro deferred MBA. So it's a very college specific thing, and unfortunately, I may not be able to tell more on this subject.
All right. And so one more thing, like did you opt for any organizations for profile building while you were applying to colleges?
Right. Yes, I said I applied. I took help of a consultant for my application, and I said that it takes generally minimum of 20 days to 1 month to uh, prepare one whole application for a school. Right. So the higher end college you apply to, the longer you take. If you apply to a college which is not a very higher end college, the competition goes down and you can very easily file your application within a couple of days. Right. So if you apply to colleges like Harvard, Stanford, Wharton, you may need to spend more than 1.5 months just to prepare what to write, how to pitch yourself. Right. So it depends on what your target colleges are.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yeah, Vijay Lakshmi.
So how did you decide what was the right time to give your GMAT? I mean, आप अपने preparation के कौन से level पे थे? And for example, how did you decide कि अब इतने time में मेरे को देना ही है?
So I decided to do an MBA in last August, and at that time I did not know what an MBA requires you to do. I mean, what things are required, what is the importance of GMAT. So I simply decided to give it a try on myself. I started my preparation in September and decided to give the exam in October. Thought of preparing myself for a month. It did not go well. I got a score of 610. Then I decided to take coaching with VerbalHub and spend 1.5 months with VerbalHub, and then I gave my attempt again. Generally, the practice I followed is not a good practice. You should be thorough with your exam. I think latest by, if you're applying for round one, then you should be thorough by, I think, July, so that you can start applying in September. So if you are not thorough with your score by July, then you may miss a lot of round one deadlines which happen in September. So you need to do a backward calculation. Generally, most of the colleges have their first round deadline in September, second round deadline are generally in November, then January, then March. So you generally have to choose 2-3 colleges to apply in September, then 2-3 in November, 2-3 in January. So if you do not have your desired score for your this September application, then there's no point in applying to those colleges. Then maybe set your target to November deadlines and get your GMAT score ready by August or latest by September. So decide yourself on the deadlines and your target colleges and do a backward calculation. Make sure that there is at least a 2-month gap between your score, I mean, getting your score and your application deadline, at least a 2-month gap, so that you can at least target 2 to 3 colleges. I hope I answered your question.
So a follow-up question, when you started coaching with VerbalHub, उसके बाद आपने कितना time लिया before you started giving the mocks with them, and you had the entire analysis of your mocks, and then you decided on your final test date?
So I had already decided that I want to give my exam in November end when I started my coaching with VerbalHub. So I started with Hassan sir, worked with him for I think 10 days. And after 10 days, I started giving my official mocks. I had already given 2 official mocks before joining the coaching. And after 10 days, I started giving mocks again. And I gave 4 mocks in a span of some 15 or 16 days. So because I was in a rush and I had a very short span of time to prepare, my coaching was a little jumbled. But generally I would suggest give a mock before starting anything, before having any knowledge of GMAT, so you know where you stand. You may get a very dismal score of 400, 450, 500, you may get anything. So you know this much you need to prepare, or you may get a score of suppose 650. So you know that you are in a very good position, because from 650 going into 730, 740, 750 will be much easier compared to going from 500 to 750 or 500 to 700. So even today, give an exam today, if you are aiming to give your final test maybe 2 months from now, and I think official GMAT gives 6 mock tests. I think you can purchase 6 mock tests, so you can give one every week. And I think you can purchase from outside also, from Manhattan or somewhere, so you can keep giving them, but don't rush into giving a lot of mocks, because if focus more on clearing your concepts rather than giving exams. I hope I answered your question.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Yeah, Sanjay.
Yes, Mridul, hello. So can you let us know which consultancy you consulted and how we can take a help from them? Because there are, right, there are a lot of consultancy in the market.
So I think I will not name any consultancy, that would not be right. But I would suggest that read a lot, because every consultancy is good for particular colleges. If you are targeting US colleges, there might be some other good consultancy. For Europe, there might be some good ones. People with certain background might be well suited for some particular consultancy. Generally, the good idea is to mail these people and send your profile. And generally, they also decide whether they want to work with you or not. There are a lot of consultancy who are very choosy about the people they want to work with. Some good ones. So the general idea is prepare a draft resume, send a couple of paragraphs, who you are, what you have been doing, and why you want to do an MBA, and just send them a mail and expect reward from them. And the way they reward, you start feeling that I want to work with these people, right? So I think that should be a good idea.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Thank you.
So, what do you suggest? I mean, we should give online GMAT or offline?
See, my online GMAT score was cancelled, so I'm very scared of an online GMAT format. But I know my reason. I got a very high score in a very short span of time. My suggestion is that if you have a test center very close to the place where you live, if you know the place, you are very comfortable with the place, आप उस जगह पे गए हो, पता है कहाँ क्या है, or that test center is good, go to the test center before booking it. मतलब just see that the location is good or not. And you do not mind going and sitting in a place giving exam, choose the test center version. But if you like the comfort of your home, if you have a very good workspace जहाँ पे बैठ के आप पढ़ाई करते हो, and if you really want to sit in your place and give the exam, you are 100% sure कि इंटरनेट कनेक्शन का इशू नहीं आएगा, घर पे टीवी नहीं चला रहा है कोई, बच्चे नहीं है कोई हल्ला कर रहे हैं, कोई डिस्ट्रैक्शन नहीं है, कोई गड़बड़ नहीं होगी, then give your online format. So the online format is a very personal choice if everything is right at your home. If even a slightest of thing can go wrong at your home, then go for test center. But go for test center with someone who will take you there. The place is comfortable. You have a water bottle. कोई stress नहीं लेना है. That way you can decide how you want to give your exam.
All right. Thank you, sir.
I just want to tell something that between booking one exam and another exam, you need to wait for 14 days. There is a mandatory 14-day period when booking one test center exam and then another attempt. But if you switch your format, you can give another exam immediately after. For example, if I give a test center exam today on 1st of June, I can give my second attempt only after 15th of June. But if I want to give an online format, I can give on 2nd June. So just keep this thing in mind.
A quick question for the online GMAT. How did you do your rough work? Like, I read online that you need to have a whiteboard and a marker.
Right. I'll show that. So there is some particular dimension of whiteboard you need to have, and you need to show all these things on the web camera. So I'll show you my whiteboard. So this is actually, sorry, I need to turn off the background. 1 second. So like this is my whiteboard. This is the one I used. I don't remember the dimension, but just to give you a clarity how this looks like. So you need to have such kind of whiteboard. They give, when you book it, they will give all the dimensions and everything. And you need to have these kind of two pens are allowed. Such 2 pens are allowed, and such kind of duster eraser is allowed. So all these things are mandatory. You cannot make any deviation to these things. Make sure you have 2 pens only, no third pen. And it's very convenient actually. You hold your whiteboard like this and you keep working while you're actually giving the exam. So it's not very tough. Most of the GMAT exam questions do not require you to use whiteboard. कुछ मैथ्स के क्वेश्चन होते हैं जहां पे प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग होती है, तो whiteboard को यूज करना is not tough.
And is it better that we practice with it क्योंकि we're used to pen and papers right now? So do you think it would be better अगर हम हमारे mocks देते हुए भी इन पे practice कर ले?
तो हाँ, so what you do, जो कोई भी एक mock test आप लेना, first of all purchase a whiteboard of the recommended dimension. यदि वो market में नहीं मिल रहा है तो पहले उसको ढूंढ लेना, because if you find some other dimension and they may raise objection when you start your exam. So make sure that you purchase it. Once you have this, open a mock test and do the whole mock test using this whiteboard. So I think you will get a feel of it. But personally, I felt that it's all fine. मतलब हो जाता है manage. हाँ, Pavnesh, tell me.
Yeah. Hi, sir. So the round 1 for the verbal part and almost for quant part is over, sir. But I've realized that even after knowing the concept, yeah, is the voice audible?
आवाज नहीं आ रही. Can you repeat your question?
Yeah. Is it better now?
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah. So my point is, even after doing a study for like taking the classes for 2 months and completing one round, I realized that taking the mock tests, what I had scored in earlier GMAT and what now I'm scoring right now, there is not much of the improvement. So as far as verbal part is concerned, so I just want to know the tactics to improve the test score, so that I feel that there is a threshold that I have touched, and I'm not able to excel beyond that. So how to tackle this situation for improving the
No,
score?
how long have you prepared? मतलब कितना टाइम हो गया अभी तक प्रिपरेशन स्टार्ट किए?
Sir, actually, I'm a working professional. Yeah, I started taking classes from April, but issue with me is that I'm not able to devote much time after my working hours. I'm just able to attend the classes, and I'm able to fetch a single hour or so on daily basis. So that I feel that I'm not able to give enough time after my classes. So that is a significant factor. Apart from that, anything else that you'd like to add, sir, which can help me improve?
The thing is that since we are from India, हम English background में नहीं पले बड़े हैं, तो solving those problems doesn't come naturally to us. English medium से पढ़े होते तो जल्दी catch up कर लेते हैं, but नेचुरली हमें नहीं आता, हमें नेचुरली हम इंग्लिश मैथ्स के प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर लेते हैं, राइट? तो अनफॉर्चुनेटली एक हार्ड चीज ये है कि मतलब एक टफ चीज ये है कि टाइम बहुत ज्यादा देना जरूरी है, सो दैट यू गेट यूज्ड टू सॉल्विंग दोस प्रॉब्लम्स. अब जैसे सेंटेंस करेक्शन के वही क्वेश्चन आप आज कर रहे होगे, सही कर लोगे, 2 दिन बाद करोगे गलत करोगे, 3 दिन बाद करोगे, हो सकता है वही सही करने लगो, because those concepts keep sometimes they click in your brain, sometimes they don't click, right? So ensuring that at least 2 to 3 hours you are giving every day to the preparation is of utmost importance. So either take leave from office or make some schedule ki you do not work for more than a particular time from office. Those become absolutely important. If you are able to give just 1 hour in a day, then it may take a very long time for you to complete your whole preparation. मतलब हो सकता है फिर इस साल अप्लाई ना कर पाओ, तो बेटर होगा कि थोड़ा सा टाइम ज्यादा डिवोट करो. मतलब इसका कोई ऐसे देयर इज नो मैजिक ट्रिक टू सॉल्विंग दोस प्रॉब्लम्स. That's unfortunate truth. This is as per me. You so anyone who is applying to US, or everyone is applying to European colleges?
So, Mridul, I am planning for both of them. I'm still not decided which one to go for, but yeah, I'll try both of them. US,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And what about Indian colleges like ISB?
ISB is an excellent college, one of the best colleges in the whole world, not just in India. Definitely the best in India. But uh, you generally find it tough to get a placement outside India if you go for ISB. In the long term, you can get a job outside India, but immediate placements generally you get in India. But one of the biggest brand names in India.
And let's say if I mean, somebody is doing MBA from Mannheim Business School. So do they need to learn German? Because I have a master's degree in engineering from Germany, and
Right.
that time it's like kind of a mandatory thing. Obviously, not a written rule, but uh, somebody who knows German has a better chance to get a job. Uh, so is it the same case with the MBAs as well, or how is it?
Uh, Germany, France, Spain, Italy, these couple of countries, they need you to have the local language. No matter what. There are very few roles where you can get a placement with only English, but otherwise you need German. There's no way around it. And MBA करके मैनेजमेंट रोल में आते हैं, या स्टेक होल्डर मैनेजमेंट होता है, बहुत ज्यादा लीडरशिप होती है. You cannot have a leadership without communicating with the local people there, right? So you must have at least B2 level proficiency to get a job in for German market, B2 level German, for French market, B2 level French. So there's no escaping that language barrier.
Sir, I wanted to ask you, like, how do we maintain accuracy and speed at the same time? as like sometimes while when you are taking up on the speed, then accuracy of the question suffers.
Generally, I know my strength. My strength is in maths, uh, because we have given engineering exam also before. So generally, but unfortunately, you cannot have something like spend lesser time on maths and more time on English, because you get 1 hour for maths and 1 hour for English approximately. So talking about English verbal, so I think Hassan sir also gave me a couple of good tricks, particularly for reading comprehension. There are certain ways from where if you read the question, you know where to start in the reading comprehension. If you try to read the whole passage, you may end up reading it thrice, and then even then you may not be able to answer the question. And मैं भी पहले यही करता था, पूरा वर्बल पैसेज पढ़ रहा हूँ, समझ नहीं आया, फिर से पढ़ा, करीब 5 या 6 मिनट लग जाते थे मुझे पूरा पैसेज पढ़ने में, क्वेश्चन पे आता था, याद भी नहीं था कि पढ़ा क्या है. So I would read the question first, and there are 7 or 8 types of questions in reading comprehension, and generally when you read that question, you know which section to read first. So this is for reading comprehension, and actually sir will give some very good strategies on these, on how to attack the section of reading comprehension based on the type of question. Regarding sentence correction, again, there are some 10-12 concepts, and based on that you can approach those. And the third is critical reasoning. So critical reasoning for me generally has been the toughest, because uski strategies banana thoda sa tough hota hai. And they come in a wide variety of fashion, but I do not remember exactly, but there were certain ways in which you are able to crack those as well. Reading सबसे ज़्यादा time consuming होता है reading comprehension, and वहाँ पर it's very necessary that you stop reading the passages. Just read the section based on the question.
So did you like keep a track of time ki how much you're gonna devote to one question and like
Right.
that?
Right. So should I tell this for maths or for both?
For both, so.
Right. Okay. So generally for quant, so I have given attempt 4 times. And in the first 2 attempts, I realized that I was too much confident on my quantitative abilities. And I thought that I'm just going to crack them. I'm going to get full score. So as I started doing, I actually started enjoying my quant questions. And I realized at some point of time that I was lost in my own thoughts, and more than half of the time was passed, and I had done less than half of the questions. So I had to suddenly speed up a lot. In the last, and I ended up not completing 2 questions, and I got a score of 48 in the first attempt. So I realized this mistake, and I made sure that I'm tracking time after each and every question. So generally, the question which require that statement 1 is correct and statement 2 is not correct, those kind of questions, you sometimes get lost. So make sure that you remember those options. Like option A is always a statement 1 is correct and statement 2 is not correct. Then option 2 is a statement 2 is correct, 1 is not correct. Then both are correct, both are wrong, none is correct, something like this. Don't read those options every time you answer that kind of questions. For example, just to save your time in maths, coming to English, if you feel that you are spending slightly more time in a passage, just answer one question and move ahead. Don't waste more than 2 to 3 minutes in any question, because when you get stuck in a question, generally for me, it may be different from for someone else. Generally, when I get stuck in any kind of verbal question, I am gonna answer it wrongly with a higher probability. And if I'm able to crack the answer quickly, I am gonna answer it correctly. I'm sure of it. This is generally what I've observed by doing the mock test. So if you are getting stuck, don't spend a lot of time in those questions, and make sure that you are proportionally devoting time to each and every question as you progress through the paper. For example, यदि 30 क्वेश्चंस हैं, 15 क्वेश्चन हुए तो आधा टाइम हो जाना चाहिए. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि आधा टाइम हुआ और अभी सिर्फ 10 क्वेश्चन किए हैं, बिकॉज यू मे फंबल इन द एंड एंड यू मे miss answering 5 or 6 questions. That is the worst thing to have. Better to just put a best guess in the middle of your paper as you face tough question rather than just simply choosing random options for the last 5-10 क्वेश्चन, क्योंकि वो लास्ट के 5-10 पर गारंटीड गलत होने वाले हैं. बीच में आप कोई स्मार्ट गेस मारेंगे तो उसमें स्मार्ट गेस मारने में फिर भी चांसेस होंगे कि सही आंसर में आप क्लिक कर रहे हैं.
So Mridul, I have a question. Maybe Meenu is not like maybe she's on mute or something. So what is the difference between MBA getting done from Europe and US? And what is your experience? Have you applied for US as well as Europe, or you just focus on European colleges?
So I only applied to European colleges. I did not apply to US. First reason is they are generally 2-year program. I wanted to do a 1-year program, and generally Europe has more 1-year program and US generally has 2-year programs. So that is one reason. Second reason, because US has 2-year program, so the fees is also almost double for most of the colleges. यूरोप की फीस जनरली एक ईयर प्रोग्राम है तो एक ईयर के हिसाब से जनरली हाफ होती है. सो दैट इज सेकंड थिंग. एंड थर्ड थिंग, माय पर्सनल रीजन वाज दैट it is a little tough to get a long-term visa for US, and generally there have been some challenges regarding visa. Not for everyone, it is more for me. So that was something which was very important for me. So that's why I decided not to apply for US. And last year when I was applying, actually a lot of layoffs were happening across the industry. और US में सबसे ज्यादा layoff हो रहे थे. तो it was a negative experience for me listening all those news. So I particularly decided to apply for Europe. And Canada was my second option. So if I had not got into any of these colleges, I would have started applying to 2 colleges of Europe. One is Rotman and one is Ivy League, Ivy Business School. So because Canada, again, you get some good jobs there as well. But again, choosing the college and choosing the country is a very personal choice, depending on what you want to do, right? So do not listen to someone's advice based on their experience. Take listen from everyone and then decide for yourself.
Okay. Right? Or fees mein kitna difference or like if you talk about Canada, US and Europe?
Generally Germany has some of the lowest fees. जर्मनी के फीस शायद 30-40 लाख होते हैं. यूरोप के टॉप 5 टॉप 10 कॉलेजेस के फीस अराउंड 60 lakhs to 1 CR होते हैं. यूएस के आई थिंक 1.5 to 2 CR होते हैं.
Okay. And what do you think after getting done an MBA? Let's say you are doing it from INSEAD. So what is ROI after that?
See, generally the highest salaries are still in the US. You generally get the best salaries in US, and because the market is good, they generally pay higher. Europe generally has comparatively lower salaries, but a lot of people go to Middle East to do jobs as well because visa issues are not there, taxes are not there. So from ROI point of view, you need to do a lot of math because US की fees भी ज्यादा है but salary भी ज्यादा है. फिर आप किस सेक्टर में जा रहे हो? If you go to consulting or investment banking, very good ROI, but worst possible personal life, time नहीं मिलता. If you go to more on the relaxed like ESG or VC, lesser salary but very relaxed life, so ROI is less. So again, it will take some research, right?
Okay, one last question. So there is this LBS is there in Dubai as well. One campus in Dubai.
No, those are not study campus. Those are more alumni campus. या ये लोग executive MBA के लिए कुछ 1-2 महीने वहाँ पर रख लेते हैं.
अच्छा, okay. So that is not a full-fledged campus where we can do like this. Okay, one more thing. What is so right now what I'm looking forward is to an executive MBA.
Okay.
So what is the difference between a full-time and executive MBA? I hope you are doing a full-time like normal MBA or executive MBA.
No, I am doing a full-time MBA.
Okay.
Executive MBA will generally require you to continue with your job and attend the classes in some periodic fashion. उसकी classes
Okay.
regularly नहीं होती, मतलब कभी इन 4 दिन में classes हैं, बहुत like full day classes, then 15 days there are no classes, only assignments. Then you may be required to go to the campus for like 10 days and attend the classes there. So the classes are like this in like batches. So some people who have financial commitment, जो job नहीं छोड़ना चाहते हैं, जहाँ पे कंपनी उनको probably encourage कर रही है MBA करने के लिए, for people like those, but there is no hostel experience, there is no campus experience. It's a very different kind of experience. Suppose you have kids, your kids and family need you all the time. So executive is better if you cannot relocate your family to some other place.
Okay.
Right. And if you have 15 years of work experience, then anyways you cannot do MBA. No college will take you.
Yeah, right.
Executive MBA करना पड़ेगा आपको.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome. Right. So, like first and most important thing, while you are preparing for GMAT, forget about your application and forget about the colleges. अभी सिर्फ GMAT पे focus करो, एक target set कर लो मन में कि इतना score चाहिए. Once you complete your GMAT and you get a score which you want, start focusing on application and forget about scholarship या job कैसे लगेगी, कहाँ लगेगी. Forget about that. And once you are done with your application, then move to the next part. Now, second thing is, how do you decide which college you want to go to? जब तक GMAT नहीं हो जाता तब तक colleges के बारे में मत सोचना, because you decide you want to go to these 5 colleges and you do not get the desired score, then there's no point, right? तो पहले GMAT score ले आओ. Suppose you get a GMAT score of 700. Now you have a wish list of colleges and a practical list of colleges. Choose a couple of the ones from wish list, a couple of from your practical, and a couple of safe colleges. And जो top priority college है उनको round 1 में apply कर दो, एक दो safe colleges को round 1 में apply कर दो, then a combination of all these in round 2 and a couple of combination of all these in round 3. Do all these categorization and selection and choosing of college after the GMAT score. And there is no blog या there is no one common thread जो आपको बता देगी कि ये कॉलेज आपके लिए suitable है. You will have to spend a good 15 days, 20 days, 1 month or even more time just deciding which colleges are good for you, which colleges you should apply to. बहुत time लगता है personally research करने में, तो don't find a shortcut to it, talking to some person and asking आप बता दो किन colleges में apply करना है. Spend some time researching on the colleges, reading blogs, talking to alumni, watching videos, and slowly you will start to know किस कॉलेज में क्या होता है, कौन सा कॉलेज अच्छा है, कौन सा कॉलेज खराब है. Even between Cambridge and Oxford, when you read more about it, you will realize that they are two very different colleges. And when I read about those colleges, I was very sure कि मैं Oxford तो जा ही नहीं सकता हूँ. Oxford is not at all made for me, and my life would have been very unfortunately bad if I had gone to Oxford. And Cambridge is something which I really want to do. So, I mean, this kind of clarity I got when I researched a lot, and that is something which you all will have to do, obviously after getting your GMAT score. So make sure you make enough time commitment into researching about the colleges, and only then you jump into the application process. Don't simply jump into the process ki these are the top 5 colleges, let me apply to these. Maybe the best college is not the best one for you. Maybe a college which is ranked 25th in the world is better suited for you rather than a college which is ranked first in the world, right? So and ये decisions तभी ले पाओगे जब when you speak to more people, when you read more, watch more, and explore more about it. So I think those are the only words which I wanted to say in the end.